Hello friends and welcome. My name is Dr. Heather Carden and you are here at Ask Dr. Heather. I actually loaded up this Facebook page about 9 years ago just to really help people understand more about what's happening. This is before the Google went crazy, before a lot of YouTube videos were going on, but I use this actually to help just facilitate the learning process with my patients. I would see them and they would have questions, or I'd run into family and friends and they would have questions, and this was the easiest format for me to help share information, whether it's a recipe or kind of a controversial issue that's happening in the healthcare world today or the wellness world today. So today we're going to talk about strict, dirty, keto, and lazy. I know this 3 years ago when I was trying to explain what keto was, I think there was a very small population of people who knew what it was, even though we've studied keto for over 100, ketogenic diet for more than 100 years. I know about 5 years ago, low carb was really trying to make a roll. Paleo was really trying to get some momentum. What happened is we just rolled right out of paleo, skipped low carb, and went right into keto because the amazing benefits of what we have learned over the past 100 years about the ketogenic diet. But now fast forward, it seems like everybody is using the word keto. Are you keto? I'm keto. You low carb? I actually love hearing all that because no one's saying, hey, are you using artificial sweeteners? Hey, how many grams of sugar are you having today? Are you trying to up your sugar? Everyone's actually trying to get more fit. But I'm getting a ton of questions lately. So here at Ask Dr. Heather, this is a place where you simply ask your questions. And then what I will do is sift and sort through all the current credible information from leading thought leaders, not leading influencers, but leading thought leaders, and what the clinical studies out there are showing us, and help really just give you an action step so you can be healthier today than you were yesterday. It's never about perfect. I'm a mom of 4. It's never about perfect. Telling you that if you're a mom or you've got a couple boys out there, my house is never clean. Something always needs to be washed. Something's potentially broken. But when we talk about your healthcare, there are some things that are never perfect. Like it's hard to sleep the perfect hours, have the perfect workout, eat the perfect food that has no contamination, drink the perfect water, breathe the perfect air. It just doesn't happen. So this is really about finding where that weakness is and where you can make the biggest difference. So knowing that now, 3 years later, everyone seems to understand what keto is that ketones are our energy source. Our body can also use glucose, but we see where sugar has gotten us. I really want to just help people understand when people say, oh, I'm strict keto. Oh, I'm lazy keto. I'm just dirty keto. I'm like clean keto. Like, what does that mean? Well, the thing that it has in common is really all of them work. But what happens is there's different places in your body. We all have different health goals, and we all actually have different brain processes, and we all process things totally different. So I'm going to actually just explain the difference. I don't care if you're dirty, clean, or keto. I just want to help you understand where you are. And then going into the holidays, knowing that if you want to maintain your ketogenic diet, that maybe if you are strict keto, in order to maintain ketosis, you may need to be a little more lazy or a little more dirty keto in order to maximize those benefits. So let's start way over here. I know it's your left, my right. Let's talk about strict keto. Strict keto is under 20 grams of net carbs. You guys, I know that I do total carbs, but it is by definition under 20 grams of total carbs, which is all of them. Sorry, net carbs. A person who is strict keto tracks everything. They track their sleep, they track their calories, they track their macros, they set everything in a little pie window and make sure that their body's getting all the macros that they need. They actually generally test their ketones, so more of a biohacker. Someone who's very much an A personality, like give me this food list. Again, this is where personalities come into play. Someone who says, you know what, I'm very strict keto. I do this. I eat at this time. I do this at this time. And then one time a month I do this. And that's really, again, personality. People who are A-type personalities want to be more strict. Or let me just say this, maybe that's not your personality, but your physician has said, I really think that you need to be on a ketogenic diet for best health benefits. So as we have used that in our office, I'm not going to name different diseases, but there are times where we use the ketogenic as one of the tools, as one of our recommendations for our patients. I definitely want them to be strict keto. I definitely want them eating clean as possible, as organic as possible, or at least eating the dirty dozen organically, drinking out of glass jars, and calculating their macros and checking their ketones. Because I wouldn't want someone who already has a metabolic disease be on a low carb diet thinking they were in ketosis when in fact they weren't in ketosis, and then they could actually be burning their lean muscle mass. So a strict ketogenic diet may be one recommended by a physician for a specific health concern, or like an autoimmune disease, things like that. Or it could be someone who that's your personality. You just need to know, it's not gray, it's just black or white. I'm either in ketosis or I'm not. I'm doing this macro and this vegetable list or I'm not. So that defines strict keto. Talk about lazy keto. Same thing, under 20 net carbs, but generally not really tracking very much, just kind of eating intuitively, eating where they want to be. Brian, great question. I'll come back to that. So I'm writing it down for you. Dirty dozen. So generally what people who are lazy keto, they don't generally track their proteins or fats. They really just make sure they're staying under that 20 grams of carbs. Those people still get very great benefits from it. And then we call this the people who are KISS, keep it simple Sally, right? They just keep it super simple. They're not calculating so much. They're just making sure that they are under 20 grams of total carbs. And then they don't get so overwhelmed. So people are kind of, just want to be overwhelmed or super stressed. And a doctor might recommend this for someone who's simply just trying to lose some unwanted fat or lower their A1C. Again, not something metabolically like an autoimmune disease, but saying, you know what, we need to get some weight off. We need to help balance out your hormones. Let's just make sure that you're staying under that 20 grams of carbs, and they're not calculating calories and things like that. I do kind of like this because then people really get really more intuitively of what their body's telling them. Like, I'm hungry, I need some food, or I don't need food even though the bell's clanging it's time to eat, or just because my macro says I still need 6 more grams of fat today to meet my pie calculator, I need to get 6 more grams. I need 1 fat bomb or 3/4 of fat bomb. That would be more strict. Lazy would be under 20, and then again, just keeping it super simple. And then a dirty keto person, again, I am not shaming or blaming because I think it's great that everyone's cutting out the processed sugar. However, I find when you do a little more dirty keto, you can have a little more struggles of actually losing that unwanted fat, getting that brain clarity, getting that mental fog. So a dirty keto still eats under 20 net carbs. However, maybe more processed foods. It's kind of more the Atkins, like the salami and maybe more of the pork rinds that aren't a very good quality, or lots of cheeses in different colored bags, or maybe they're doing some fun math with some of the keto cookies out there and keto donuts and keto pies and some of those other things, and building recipes. And I definitely do a little bit of that at the holidays when I'm making some treats for our family, but being dirty keto is still better than standard American diet. So I don't like it when someone who's straight keto starts saying, well, you need to do this a better job, because honestly, what works best for you is the best diet for you. I'm just here to explain what the differences are. And if you're listening to this, you're going to go, that's me. That's what I need to be, or that's better for me. So maybe you are a strict keto person, but you're like, at the holidays, I'm just going to be super happy to keep my grams under 20 grams of carbs. Then that puts you in that lazy category. Not that you're lazy by any means. And then we talk about a clean, strict keto. That's probably more what I like to recommend for my patients, because most people coming into my office aren't there for wellness care. They generally come in after being diagnosed with something or having some significant health challenges. And that's where we really do try to eat more organic. We do take out the dairy or hormone foods like soy and things like that, and make sure that people are getting a variety of different types of foods and vegetables rotating through their meats and their fishes. So not just having beef all the time, or not just having processed bacon all the time. That would put you in the dirty category. But clean keto, knowing that your body's already under some health challenges. And honestly, if people have a hard time getting in ketosis, eating dirty keto, which again is still better than standard American diet or standard global diet, maybe it might work better for you to clean a few things up. Maybe not use some keto bars that you're using, or maybe a keto protein powder. Just have the chicken or have the salmon, or don't maybe do some of the keto greens, and maybe just actually eat the broccoli and eat the cabbage and things like that. So they all work for your personality as long as that works for you. I know it's kind of a double negative there, but do what fits for you. So if you're like more of that kind of simple personality, but you're trying to keep it super strict and you get so stressed out about the pies and the color charts, don't do it. Find what works for you. But what we do know, and I pulled up some stats here today, is that approximately 300,000 deaths are actually every year attributed to obesity. So I pulled a bunch of stats here because I always want to close with some stats. Because someone said, why do you always talk about fat and being overweight? Because what the American Health Association says, and all the publications, is that obesity, fat is actually a hormone now. It's not just stored fat. Fat is actually a stored hormone. So it can cause hormone disruption. It can increase your chances of all lifestyle diseases, whether that's heart disease or stroke or cancer or other metabolic risk. We also know that that also sets you up for having more surgical procedures, which is the 4th leading cause of death. So if you're healthy in the first place, you don't need the surgery, which wouldn't put you in that statistic or potential of having a life-threatening situation after having some type of disease or procedure. But this has said 300,000 deaths a year are related to obesity. We know that approximately $70 billion, that's 7% of our overall health expenditure, $70 billion in the United States is actually spent on obesity. It's one of the major contributors to preventable diseases. And I'll put this quote down below. I'll put the whole study. I printed off all 30 pages. I won't read you all 30 pages, but I'll put it down below in case you want to know. And then I want to answer Brian's question. So Brian said, what is the dirty dozen? So there are vegetables that you absolutely need to eat organic, things like like cabbage and carrots, green beans and lettuce. And there's things that you can get away with not eating organic all the time, like maybe parsley, but I'll list the Dirty Dozen. You can go Google the Dirty Dozen and they'll tell you exactly which vegetables. So when you talk about just trying to be keto for real people, keto that works easy and that works for your pocketbook, that means you don't have to buy every single thing organic. What's most important to be organic, or buy local beef if you can, buy local vegetables. You know, I buy stuff at the farmer's market and I freeze it as soon as I get it because I know that's nature's way of pausing, rather than buying canned vegetables or frozen vegetables that are from some other place. It's better to buy local, but do what works best for you and your lifestyle and your checkbook. Busy mom of 4 working in a clinic, I used to can vegetables and everything when the kids were little, but you know what, now I have to do it kind of works best for us and our family. So I do stick to the Dirty Dozen. I'm not perfect with plastic. I do try to drink out of glass, which is a whole nother topic conversation. But when it comes to keto, what I want to say is there is no shaming, blaming if you're dirty, if you're strict, if you're stuck. But I will let you know that if you do have metabolic concerns or health concerns, that maybe it may be better to look at some of the, if you're eating a little more dirty keto, which means just going to Subway and getting a double chopped chicken salad, or going to Chipotle and leaving out the rice and beans and just getting the salad there with the dressing on the side. Or maybe you got to go to Taco Bell because you're traveling. You just got to dump all the taco stuff in the middle. And sometimes you don't know what's in that meat, but it's better than doing nothing at all. We definitely know it's better than sugar. The average American eats 19 teaspoons of sugar a day. 19 a day. So when we start talking with the American Heart Association about heart attacks and preventable diseases and inflammation, we start talking with the Dental Association, what's happening with cavities and everything else going on. It's because of the sugar, the sugar, the sugar. So when we talk about that, we know there's no essential carbohydrate. Yes, we know our body knows how to run on glucose, and it's fine to have a little bit of glucose. I'm not saying glucose for nobody. I'm saying it's obviously better knowing that we're in a health crisis. Obesity is, what are they calling that? Almost a communicable disease. Why are they saying that? Because we have such a high rate. Sorry, I'm stuttering because my mom's on here. Hi, Mom. I want to say hi to everybody out there. Actually, not just my mom, but thanks my mom for jumping on. But when we start talking about this, so my mom and I talked about like what's wrong with a little bite here and there. Those little bites actually add up, right? Think of little Snickers at Halloween or whatever candy you like at Halloween, Mrs. Butter, whatever. But those little bites add up to a whole bar. The same thing can happen if you're using mints and you're taking just a bite of this, or you're having gum here, or a drink of this, or a bite of that. We used to call them bottom of the bag French fries. Like people would claim that in my car, like, I want the bottom of the bag French fries. Yes, we have been to McDonald's. It's been many, many years, maybe a decade since we've been there. But it would happen that we would do that occasionally. We're not perfect by any means. That would be more that dirty category where you get the hamburger, you throw off the buns, you don't eat the ketchup, you use the mustard because the ketchup has too much sugar. You know, so little things like that. But you can trade this for that and keep it simple. But I just want to let you know, I'm getting so many questions. What's this dirty keto? What's this lazy keto? What is this clean keto? Like, how can you live this? How can this be a lifestyle? How can this be easy? Because you see a lot of people who are out there who've had amazing health recoveries and they're like, this is so simple. I wake up, I have some bacon and eggs, and when I'm hungry, then I just have, I just get a salad, or I just like I said, just go get a rotisserie chicken and grab a bag of broccoli and put some butter on it. Like, it can be that easy. And if you need to go, if your family's on the go, you're super busy mom, busy kid, busy grandma. I know my friends are now becoming grandparents, that it is okay actually to have to drive through and throw away the buns. No shaming or blaming here. What I want to have done is have you go from eating 19 teaspoons of sugar on an average to actually less than 3 teaspoons, because that's what the RDA is. 3 teaspoons of sugar. That's sugar coming from, fruits, coming from tomatoes, coming from squash, coming from pumpkins. Yes, those things have sugar in them, as well as berries and lemons and limes. Those things all add up. But I am so excited to know that after 20 years of practicing, 20 plus years of practicing, that people are getting the keto word. They actually know what it is, and people aren't throwing things at me saying, I can't believe you're telling people to eat butter. But I will let you know, I still see recipes coming out on some of the blogs using a margarine and Crisco. So I do want to let you know that is not something we would recommend, even though they would fit in your macros for a keto diet, but that would be in that dirty category versus having grass-fed butter. So I just want to also just close out here and want to thank you guys. This is meant to be shared. So please share this with somebody who may be struggling, maybe doesn't even know how to get started cutting out the sugar because they're hearing this lazy keto, strict keto, dirty keto, keto, low carb, this, that. So just to make two definitions here. So what is low carb for one person may not be low carb for another person. Like being said, my husband has a higher basal metabolic rate or energy expenditure per day than I do, as do my children, or my sons, I should say, young men. So my son at 21, 6'6", definitely can have about 60 grams of carbs and still be in ketosis, where I've got to stay under about 20 or 23 total carbs because his energy expenditure is different. The same thing that my husband, who is not 50 yet, he's still in his late 40s, can actually have a different macro calculator than my son who is 20 or my son who is 24 based on their energy expenditures. And so what's low carb, if I ate my son's diet, I would just be low carb, almost paleo. If I ate my husband's diet, I would be low carb. If all of them ate my macros, they would all be keto. So it is different for each person. We definitely don't want you doing a low calorie diet because we know that can actually drop your basal metabolic rate. It's actually better to time your eating. Like I'm really practicing this week doing some of Dr. Jason Fung's work where I'm actually doing alternate day eating. So like my mom was here and I said, I ate lunch on Sunday. We went to church. So I ate lunch at noon on Sunday. And then Monday I went to 2 p.m. and had a big meal, had all my calories in that hour. So I had an hour-long lunch. And then Tuesday, I went to 4 p.m. And so today is Tuesday, so 4 p.m. I'm going to eat, just tracking that backwards for you guys. So just adding that, I know Dr. Fung talks about doing a 24-12. Dr. Dan Pompa talks about doing alternate day fasting. Definitely want to kind of lower my feeding and eating windows because I am going to roll into the reboot next Sunday, which is a 60-hour reboot, kind of a way to upgrade your health and really to metabolically get your body reset for sugar and for your basal metabolic rate and reset your sugar standards or your body's craving for insulin and things like that and glucose. So just wanted to pop on here. I'm sorry I've been a little bit MIA. I've actually been doing more workshops in my office, which a lot of people like me are face-to-face. So please keep your questions coming because your questions inspire me. And again, this is meant to be shared because maybe somebody else is confused, like the hundreds of people that sent questions into me. And I would love a topic for tomorrow to talk about, or we can talk about Instapot recipes if you want to. I have an Instapot. I need to actually upgrade my recipes. I'm making like 3 things in my Instapot, boiling eggs, and I'm making bone broth in my Instapot, and I've browned some hamburgers. So definitely need to have some new Instapot recipes. Would love those because this is all about really just community health, what makes your life better, what's working for you. And we're going to give you some tips and strategies as we roll out of 2018 because I want everybody to finish strong. I know every single one of you on here, and I can see people went to high school with, like Tracy, who were all athletes in high school, have children who are athletes. You wouldn't tell your son as he rounds to third base, oh, just walk home, it's okay, first baseman has your ball. Or you wouldn't say, run that 5K, but that's okay if you just want to walk or quit right before you get the finish line. This is a finish line. I can guarantee that 99% of people put some health goals or New Year's resolutions in this January 2018, and oftentimes we actually get done with our usually quit, forget, whatever happens, re-roll out of what our New Year's resolutions are before even February 1st. So I'd love to have you relook at those, and I would love to have you just roll those back out and then finish the last few days that we have of 2018 strong. So as you roll into 2019, you don't have the same goals you had in 2016 and 2015 and 2012 and 2005, but you actually have new ones about anti-aging, upgrading your health, talking a lot about regenerative. So it used to be alternative medicine, wellness medicine. That used to be kind of the big buzzword. Now we know keto and regenerative. Why regenerative? Because we know our body can actually anti-age what we once thought was lost. We know we can get back. So plaquing on the brain, depression, anxiety, traumatic brain injuries, what we once thought was lost in the brain is now actually new information saying that we actually can reverse some of those situations. We can remiss those, which is very, very exciting. The same thing with obesity. We can remiss obesity. And I'll actually maybe talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. I was going to talk, because I got a lot of questions. Why are we talking about fat? Why are you focusing on people's fat loss and fat weight? It's because it is the single biggest predictor and preventative of diseases of lifestyle. So diseases of lifestyle are cardiovascular events, which is overeating, body fat over 35%, not exercising 2.5 hours a week. That's according to the American Heart Association. We also see that with cancer. 2 out of 3 women, 1 out of 2 men get cancer sometime in their life. And so we look at those stats coming about and saying, okay, we know that obesity is a major contributor to preventing lifestyle diseases. It makes sense. Cut out the sugar. If you're eating 19 teaspoons a day, I'd be happy if you went to 16. And then we all be super happy if you went to like 15. But you know what? Your goal is your goal. So do what works for you. That's the only right diet. So the only right diet is the one that works for you. and keeps your body in a healthy status. So I said this one other time on a video, and somebody's like, well, the only diet that works for me is a 5,000 calorie diet because I want to eat the whole pizza and I want to have the whole ice cream jar. I'm like, well, that's not really one that's working to prevent diseases. I'm like, well, I don't have any diseases. My blood work is all normal. And the key word is yet. It's still normal yet, because we know what happens if you have a larger or higher BMI or body fat percentage. We know what happens as the longer that maintains, the harder it gets on your heart and your kidneys and your joints and your body to maintain. And then we know that long-time sugar addiction actually leads to things like Alzheimer's, brain fog, and I'm losing all my sunlight. So I guess it means it's almost time to go. I was trying to find some more sunlight here in Kansas, but the sun has gone down, so I guess our time is done. So I would love to know what plan you're doing, if you're doing strict or lazy or clean. And Brian, I'll definitely get you the dirty dozen list of vegetables. I'll just do it in a separate post and tag you in that. So thank you guys for joining me. Tomorrow we may talk about some recovery strategies. We talked about how we could prepare for the holidays. Let's talk about some recovery strategies, because I got about 51 questions on recovering from the holidays. So let's talk about that tomorrow or Thursday, and I cannot wait to hear from you. This is Dr. Heather saying, have an amazing day. Please go to my blog and download your guide to start your day in the right way. AskDrHeather.net.